It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell. On this Friday, yes it is, it's a Friday, April 17th, 2020. Since this is a Friday, that means this particular episode of the podcast is going out to all the platforms. Our Friday show remains our weekly show. For you subscribers out there, if you haven't heard the news, for the last several weeks we have become a daily show. We are now a daily show. So if you want to hear the Monday through Thursdays, just go to the website, charlespurcell.com, and you'll hear the Monday through Thursday shows. They post usually sometime late morning, between 11 and 12 usually. But this is our weekly episode. It goes out to everybody, to all the platforms. Also releasing on Friday, our weekly Charles Purcell Presents. We are continuing our series there, playing classic Neo Radio episodes. Neo Radio, of course, program we did with Frank Skillman, San Francisco radio artist, way back in the day. And so I'm playing classic episodes of that. They're really fun. I hope you'll listen. I hope you'll like it. It's kind of freewheeling, original music, sound sculpture, radio theater, other spoken word, commentary. The old episodes are really fun to listen to. Well, so let's see what's going on today. Here in Wisconsin, our Safer at Home order has been extended through Tuesday, May 26th. That's the day after Memorial Day. So that's good. Most of us are happy about that. Well, happy's the wrong word. Most of us agree it's the right thing to do. Let me put it that way. Many are bitching and moaning and complaining, like those ridiculous protesters in Michigan. It looks like we're going to have more of those around the country. But this is absolutely the right thing to do. Absolutely, 100%. You guys know this, right? We can't just reopen. Even when it's time to reopen, we can't reopen. It's going to be a slow roll. You know this, right? The only way we could really reopen is to have universal testing. I mentioned on the program yesterday, I'm kind of appalled at the fact that the test, isolate, trace model is somehow news. We've known about this for weeks and weeks, and we should have been ramping up for it ever since then. But of course, we're not as a country. And people don't even seem to know about it based on what I keep seeing in the news. They keep reporting it, which tells me people don't know this already. How can we not know this? Yeah, the only way to really reopen is to know if you've got the virus. Universal testing. And that's just not going to happen. So one more time, for the people in the back row, you have to test everybody, or as many people as you possibly can. Those who test positive, you isolate, and then you trace their contacts and make sure they are all tested. And if they test positive, then you isolate them and trace their contacts. Now, not easy to do? No. Simple? Yes. It's a very simple concept. All it takes is prioritizing it, the will to do it. And I haven't seen that. So any talk of reopening without that is kind of crazy. Now, let's be clear. This is not my opinion. I will never give my opinion on medicine and science. I'm just reporting what reputable scientists and doctors are telling us. It's not that complicated, you guys. So this is going to be a very slow roll over months and months until we get a vaccine. We're just going to have to get our heads around that. We're going to have to take a few deep breaths and just understand that's going to be life now for a while. Nothing's going to be the same until we have a vaccine. And varying reports tell us the best case scenario is maybe another year. and possibly 18 months. So I'm trying not to look at that May 26th date as any kind of a magic date. I'm really trying to create a mindset where I just adjust to life now and make it the best life I can, knowing that this is the new normal, the new reality. We're going to have to social distance. We're going to have to mostly stay at home. We can't just be running out and doing things. Sorry. The numbers in Wisconsin, at least, and other reports I've read from other states, I know here in Wisconsin, it's working. Number of cases, number of deaths are way down from the worst case scenarios. From the do-nothing scenario, it's a fraction of the cases and the deaths we would have had. So good for us. Pat yourself on the back. You're a hero by staying home. Be a hero. But we all saw the yahoos in Michigan, and we know there's going to be more. All over the place we're going to see protests like that probably. They're threatening one. Somebody's trying to organize one here in Wisconsin. We'll see how far that goes. Yeah, they say they're expecting up to 3,000 people to march on Madison and protest Governor Evers' mandate. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens. I hope it doesn't. And what they're protesting is this kind of weird concept of liberty they have. Well, there are kind of two strains to this. And as usual, they go hand in hand. When you look at the conservative side of the spectrum here, we've got the money guys. And, oh my goodness, the reports of how they are taking advantage of all of this. The bailout money has gone mostly to rich people already and to large corporations rather than small businesses as intended. Anytime money is up for grabs, you know who's going to get it. It's like they toss a bunch of money in the air and the tallest guy is going to catch it coming down. And the tallest guy meaning the bigger, larger companies and corporations who have a team full of lawyers and experts who know how to finagle the system and know how it works. They know all the right forms to fill out, the right people to talk to. They know the game. They know it well. And then you got this poor little mom and pop diner trying to negotiate all this red tape, just getting lost in the weeds, and they're left high and dry. So they're the money guys. And then, of course, the other big constituent group on the conservative side are the social conservatives and the libertarian types. It's all about liberty. It's all about freedom. Don't tell me what to do, guys. And there you get your know-nothing militia types and, the guys we saw in Michigan. And they are mostly guys. They're mostly old white guys. I won't get into the whole social family dynamic they've got going in their households. I don't know what their wives are thinking. Anyway, we got that group too. And it's all about their individual freedom. Can't take that away. And so that's who we're seeing out on the front lines. So the money guys somehow have figured out a way to convince the liberty guys that they're on the same team. I don't know how they pulled off that little trick, but they did. And now Fox News and the rest of the right-wing propaganda machine is encouraging Michigan-like protests. They're all over that as they broadcast from their safe confines. They're all happy and fat and rich and safe from the hordes. Yeah, but go out with your AR-15 and your Confederate flag and march shoulder to shoulder to the State House. Yeah, go get them. Freedom, America. And you got to think about what are they protesting exactly? Now, I don't want to sound insensitive about this. I know people are hurting. They want to get back to their jobs. They want to work. They want to earn their paycheck. So I understand that part of it. And so that's as close as I can get to agreeing with these people. I know I posted, as soon as I heard the news, I shared it. Okay, May 26th is the new date here in Wisconsin. And one of the comments I got was from one of these guys. Well, then he better pay my bills. And you know what? That's the one place I agree. If you are going to shut things down, then hand in hand with that, right along with that, yeah, you got to pay our bills like other countries are doing. You got to freeze rents and mortgages. You got to create a UBI, if not a permanent one, at least a temporary one. You really can't do one without the other. So I guess in that one sense, I agree with them. Somebody pointed out this $1,200 check that's going out to everybody. Philip Kasner pointed out in a post, it's going to retired folks who have pensions and Social Security benefits already coming. It's going to people who are still working, this $1,200, and collecting paychecks. It's going to those who are temporarily off work but collecting unemployment. It's going to them too. And finally, it's going to people with no job, no money, and no compensation. And his comment is, giving everyone a check does not make sense, as it should go to group 4. That's the no job, no money, no compensation group. I plan to donate mine as wisely as I can and urge all who don't really need it to consider sharing at least some of it where it's really needed. All right, so that, I noticed that post and thought, yeah, okay, good for you. But of course, the $1,200 is not for us. It's for the quote-unquote economy. Why do you think they call it a stimulus check? It's not a rescue check. It's not a, here you go, I know you really need this check to feed your family check. No, it's a stimulus check. And what do they want to stimulate? They want to stimulate the economy. So in a sense, Philip Kasner's post still makes sense, because if the whole goal is to stimulate the economy, then you want to give it to people who are going to spend it. And people who don't need it won't spend it. They'll just have an extra $1,200 in their bank account, and it won't change their behavior in any way. So even the money guys, I don't get them. I don't understand them. It's not even in their interest. If they want to stimulate the economy, then give it to people who need it. So Philip Kasner is right on both counts, just as a moral question, but also as an economic question. Yeah, it's a stimulus check. It's not for us. It's for them. It's to stimulate the economy. It's to stimulate profit. It's to keep profits coming in. It's to keep businesses open. Yeah, it's not for us. It's for them. It's for the economy, which I keep saying like that because I want it to sound stupid. I mean, let's take a second. All right, let's take a minute. Let's do a little thought experiment here. Define the economy. The economy. Repeat it until it sounds like a silly word. You know how you do that? You repeat something over and over until it makes no sense anymore. Economy, 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 until it just sounds ridiculous. Like it's a goofy made-up word. Because that's exactly what it is. The economy. What is the economy? You could look up a dictionary definition, but basically it's how we get what we need. We need things. We need places to live. We need education and health care, and we need a certain amount of consumer goods, clothes. It's cool to have a little game once in a while. Food, of course, right at the top of the list. The economy, the economy, the economy. Now, there are 100 different ways we could do this. Different civilizations around the world through centuries have figured out ways to produce and distribute goods. But we've got this thing called the economy, and it's very much tied to a time and a place. Early 21st century United States of America. That one particular moment in time, that one particular place, we have something we call the economy. as though it's some universal truth, as though it's always existed, as though it could never change, as though it's carved in rock, an immutable force of nature. It's not. It's not. It's a system like any other system that's been built by human hands and human minds. And systems shift and systems change. So when you're presented with this ridiculous false argument, oh, well, it's a trade-off. Some people are going to die, I guess, but we have to do it for the economy. That's just pure insanity. Now, if we're trying to define the economy as it currently exists today, well, one of the defining features, the central defining feature, is money and profit. Well, you have to make a profit, and you have to have money. Anything economic, by definition, includes the exchange of money. But we can see how that's just balling up the works. You know, a couple of weeks ago when it was the big hot topic, we kept hearing about supply chains. Yeah, ventilators that were $3,000 bumped up to $15,000 because of supply and demand. This law given from God, which is the biggest lie ever foisted on us. Doctors and nurses still without proper protective equipment. Families losing their insurance because they were tied to their jobs. There's money all over this thing, wreaking havoc. And the need for profit. Private hospitals acting just like Walmart in the sense that they had to have just enough beds. This is before pandemic. Just the right amount of beds to treat the expected need. If you have any more beds, any more rooms, well, then they're losing profit. Personal protective equipment, ventilators, beds, rooms, whatever else a hospital needs, doctors, nurses, you got to go right up to that point where it's going to meet expected need, and you can't go 1 inch over, or that eats into profits. Now, you might say, well, of course, that's our system. We have to have profits. Companies have to. Without that, they don't exist. Who says? If you take money and profit out of the system, the world would be a much, much better place and would work more efficiently. There would be more justice, more equality, more liberty, more freedom. And here's how. Let me suggest something really simple and outrageous. But you tell me I'm wrong, okay? Listen carefully and write to me, charlesburcell@gmail.com, and tell me I'm wrong. I want to know where I'm wrong. All right. Imagine a world where money doesn't exist. It does not exist at all as a concept. Now, we still need all these things, right? We still need hospitals. We still need houses. We still need food, education. We need science and research. We need everything we have now. Like to play an occasional game, whatever it is you do. Go bowling. So there's no money. All right, well, how do you get your food? Well, you go to the store. There's still a store, a market, and you get your food. You don't pay for it. It's yours. It's available. Oh, that'll never work. Yeah, tell me why. Tell me why it wouldn't work. If you're sick and have to go to the hospital, you go to the hospital. And there will be doctors and nurses there to take care of you. There'll be plenty of beds. Well, how would all of this happen without money? It would happen exactly the way it happens now. People go to work, they do what they do, and society functions. Only 1,000,000 times better. Hospital needs beds, which means they need beds produced, and blankets and sheets, and just look around your room. Whatever's in your room right now, whatever in your line of sight, is something you probably need. Furniture, computers, lamps. I'm just looking around my room here. I got a whiteboard. How am I going to get all that without money? Who's going to make it? Well, who makes it now? That bed in the hospital was made by some company, right? Some factory made that bed. And they got the raw materials from another source. And at each step along the way, money was exchanged. Well, see, that's the part I want to eliminate because it's not necessary. Living in a world with no money would just mean that I and you and everyone else in the world gets up every day and does exactly what they want to. And each individual person will have their own individual motivations and wants and needs. So there's a bed factory in town. You know that hospitals need beds. Maybe there was a story in the paper. County hospital here looks like they're going to need to replace their beds and maybe get a few extra ones. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go work down at the bed factory. We have jobs now. Why wouldn't we have jobs then in a no-money world? We'll see there's a need and we'd go do it because that's what people do. Look what happens in an emergency. Everybody can't wait to volunteer. People are great. People are good. Kids need to be taught. I'll become a teacher. Science and medicine need to be advanced. I'll become a doctor. I'll become a nurse. I'll become a researcher. Go to school? Do it? Do it. Great. Boom. Why not? Give me one good reason why money has to be in the middle of all of this. There is no reason. You can't. I can't imagine a reason you can give me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. CharlesBurcell@gmail.com. Please tell me I'm wrong. Because if you insist that money has to be in there, in that system, well then somehow money is the motivation? Why should money be a motivation? Because the way it is now, you work at a job in order to get money. It doesn't matter what the job is. Maybe it's something you hate. Maybe it's something that doesn't help anyone. And you got to have money because you need money to buy food for your family. You're just kind of a wage slave. So it's a negative motivation. If you don't work, you and your family are going to starve, buddy. It's not motivation, it's a threat. Well, without money, who would grow our food? Well, farmers would grow our food. We would grow our own food in gardens and community gardens. Our food would be local. Our agriculture would be smaller and more sustainable and less harmful to the environment. Every single thing we need, every essential service, which we are so attuned to these days, essential workers, essential services, every essential service would be met because we would just rise up and do it. And then if and when, God forbid, some big emergency happens, a pandemic, a flood, an earthquake, everybody in non-essential jobs, if you're in a factory making yo-yos, yeah, yo-yos are fun. We like yo-yos. We'd like to have yo-yos in the future. Sure. But again, God forbid, if some emergency happens, you just leave your yo-yo job because you're free to come and go as you please. And you put all your efforts and all your service into the emergency. Now let's imagine if this coronavirus pandemic had hit in a no-money world. Every research lab in the country would drop what they were doing to develop tests and treatments and a vaccine. And they would pool their resources. They would share all the information they're getting because there would be no profit incentive to hide their findings, to keep them exclusive, to beat the other guy. No, you work with everybody. And then the pharmaceuticals, the folks who produce and distribute all of this would get on it. And it would be a lightning pace compared to what we've got now. All the applicable factories able to make ventilators would just start making them overnight. Everybody would stop doing what they're doing. Okay, stop building trucks, stop building cars, stop building washing machines. Everybody just pull your efforts here. All their suppliers would pitch in because there's no fake economy getting in the way. Factories that make clothes would immediately start making gowns and gloves and masks. It would just happen overnight. They just flip a switch. Okay, guys, here we go. Let's do this. They wouldn't even have to be told to do it. The president wouldn't even have to invoke the Defense Production Act. It would just happen because people are good and people are reasonable. And there would be absolutely zero motivation for them not to do it. Oh, we'll lose profit. There's no such thing as profit. We'll lose money if we do this. There's no such thing as money. We're being incentivized in the wrong direction constantly. Money gets in the way. It balls up the works. It gives us the exact opposite motivation than the motivation we need. In a no-money world, we're motivated only by service to others and realizing our own potential. And there's millions of different people, and everybody's got their own potential, and everybody has their own dreams, their own skills, their own talents. I want you to tell me how this doesn't work. I'm going to anticipate one of them. Well, without money, people won't do the grunt work. Who's going to work in the fields like we got migrant workers doing today? Who's going to make beds and mop floors in the hospital? I don't know. That is such an easy argument to shoot down. Number one, it implies that these people wouldn't do it unless they were being paid, unless they were being threatened with their very lives. You do this, or you and your family are going to starve. So somehow you're okay with that. You're okay with the concept of wage slavery. You're okay with that. And number two, you got a really small opinion of people. You don't think there'd be plenty of folks who would be very happy to volunteer? Because the need is there. Again, we see volunteerism in emergencies all the time. That could easily translate to day-to-day life. I'm a person. I live in the world. I know we need hospitals. I know hospital floors need to be mopped. I'll take a turn. I know I'm right about this. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. And this is not some fantasy. Don't get me wrong. This is not just a thought experiment. Maybe I used that term earlier. I shouldn't have. This is not a utopia. This is absolutely 100% realistic. This absolutely could happen. The world doesn't really look that different. There are still places of business. There are things happening. There are things being built and distributed. There are services being rendered. It looks very much like it looks today. Except people are going to their jobs of their own free will and motivated only by the fact that they want to realize their own potential and they want to serve others. Because that's what we are. That's what we are. That's what humans are. Even the yahoos who are protesting about reopening the economy and giving me my freedom and letting me make my money and let me carry my AR-15, drop them into a world like this, they'll get it. Oh, I can do whatever I want all day long, every day? Great. You're all about freedom. There's your freedom. All right. Stay safe. Stay home. This episode of The Log is available right now wherever you find your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, iHeart, YouTube, and the podcast Source. Enter Charles Bursell Presents in the search window. Or best yet, go to charlesbursell.com. There you'll find this and all the other series in the podcast family. Follow, comment, and contact me on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to our flagship terrestrial station, Riverwest Radio, riverwestradio.com. Theme music composed and performed by Peter Donalds. From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Bursell.